Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new episode of our online interview series. Today, I have the pleasure and the honor to have Ken Conkin, the president and CEO of Tudor Gold, here with me. Ken, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for having me this morning. Pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, to give an update about your great company. And so we don't want to waste so much time. The floor is yours. What's going on in Tudor? Because the last interview we had was around 6 months ago. So lots of happened. You published lots of press releases. So give us a quick introduction, please.
Yeah, essentially, we've got a great project. It's a large new discovery. It's in the heart of the Golden Triangle, northwestern British Columbia, just north of my old stomping grounds at Bruce Jack Lake, which is now controlled by Newmont, purchased from Newcrest and the acquisition of Newcrest, as well as this is the connection or the extension of the chain of massive deposits from the Seabridge side of the KSM. So this is that extension to that line of very famous large deposits. So we embarked this year with a program to go after something very specific, and that was high grade. Just to back up a bit, we did a recent update to the resource that is now pushed at well over a gram. So it's now 1.19 gram per ton gold equivalent of 27.89 million ounces. So 27.9 million ounces gold equivalent, of which there is a very significant copper component to one of the domains. And I brought my new best friend, my toy, with me. And that's this is a model that was put together by one of our geos, Mike Fry. He's a very clever person. So for Christmas, we bought him a 3D plotter. So he's come up with our what looks to be the best representation I've ever seen of our deposit. So people can actually view the copper in the CS600, but also if I rotate this to you, we're looking almost down the southern axis of this thing towards the southwest. But this is the CN Tower for scale. So here's your viewers to look at CN Tower. That's about 550 meters in height. So when you see that,
it looks so tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny. So when you see that, that's over 400 meters of true thickness in vertical plane of the thick portion of CS600. So it is a very large deposit, but it's got some of the best grades in it. It's one of our founding starter points that changed the pivotal point of the company. In 2020, we discovered it, went after it in 2021, 22, and 23. But along the way, we clipped a bunch of high grade. So yes, so this year was a super successful year in hunting what we call supercells. And we don't have it on this model, but I'll just demonstrate it with a couple of my phones. Obliquely through the system, you have these like highly charged energy structures of basically breccia systems. We initially thought it was only one. So pleasantly, when we started hunting this year with drill holes far above coming through, we clipped actually 3 of them. So there are now 3 known supercells that have a high-grade component. So that was the basis of the last press release we put out about a little over a week ago. Now, what's the significance of that? A lot of people said, well, someone's got to tackle that guy. He's a madman. Why is he drilling when he's already got 28 million ounces of gold? Well, the answer was we had another 6 million ounces of a higher grade gold and copper from that, because in this model, everything is open in every direction. So I'll be like, to leave this thickness on the end open, I think is insane when you have great numbers to actually clip off. So what we're trying to do is stitch this off. And there are 6 million ounces of inferred out there in the model at 1.25. Remember, we're at 1.19. So that tells me that there's a lot more meat to cut out of this beast. You can go and get more volume, higher grade, to get the best internal rate of return possible. However, we kind of masked the drill with a 3-fold approach. One is to find what the axis would be. So our axis would be coming in from this side to access from the valley of Treaty Creek. So the concept was we wanted to make sure we didn't hit any high-grade structures in those planned development workings. So when we went forward, we discovered that we did in fact have Supercell 1, which was now named 1C because it's the third one. There are two more on the way down to it. And people may ask, well, why were you hunting them so far at depth? Well, we didn't know they existed. So now I guess the challenge is to step out on what we've seen in the earlier holes this year, extend beyond that to see if we can get to the geological target of, say, 6 million tons. If you get 6 million tons of grade, say, Brucejack, 8 grams, so what you're going to do is look at about a 1.5 million ounce gold target as a starter of widths of anywhere between 4.5 meters up to 25 meters. It necks down to 2-3 meters of higher grade of 13-14 grams. But the point of the exercise is to try and find the nature distribution of gold, and we're finding that there is a core to it that you get grades of up to 20 grams over 4.5 meters. However, every hole that's gone through this has hit what the cutoff grade is at Brucejack is 6 grams and up. So in gold equivalent. So the idea is to try and, as I mentioned, to try and get this 6 million tons of 8 grams, preferably 10 grams if you can. So 10 grams, 10 meters is a great intercept. So if we can continue stepping out in step outs, getting that's the next part of the phase of this exploration, which I think is going to be a game changer, another pivotal point. The first one clearly was CS600, bringing in 2.87 billion pounds of copper with another 500 million pounds out there in inferred. So added together, if we can actually add more, you're going to be over 3 billion pounds at the end of the day of the final resource on this thing before we embark on any kind of internal rate of return equations in a PEA. But the goal now is to finish off the drilling to outline how large that high-grade gold would be, because when you attack something like this in the way of a block cave, what you need is pierce points all through it to do drilling. So you blow it and it comes at one drawdown. But the key advantage is, what if we actually mined those high-grade draw points? What if they were structures we went down, took them out, had 1,000-ton-a-day operation, and what if we were able to pull 10 grams per ton at 1,000 tons a day for, say, a few years? Just on 6 million tons, your geological target at 350,000 tons a year is about a 9-year progress of good high grade. So now you have a mine within a mine. Most of these projects have large components to them, but they also have high grade satellite fingers of late stage superimposed gold that comes through. Typically, they're eroded off at surface, or typically they are in echelon. They don't mean anything. In this case, they emanate straight from the heart of CS600 and we believe 300 horizon, because those were the two zones or domains that we did see ubiquitous gold. Now, looking back, if we can align the structures and see the high grade hits within the heart of these systems, what if they all lined up? What if there was a slight offset to it? What if those 1 ounce gold hits that we couldn't explain in a porphyry system are attributed to the supercell system?
Would be a game changer. Again,
you've said it well, Mark. It's a game changer.
And I like the headline supercell. So just to get it clear for me, the supercells are not in the resource now, the drill results, right?
Exactly, because the resource was capped at 8 grams. So anything that we did hit a 1 ounce hit or a 25 gram hit was always clipped at 8 grams only and given a search influence on its cube, on its volume at 5 meters maximum. So that's all it would look out. So now if you have 2-3 drill holes within the center of, I call it the storm, the Gold Storm Nebula, within the center of this mass, if you've got several holes that line up, it becomes a plane. So that plane becomes a predictable event of high grade that was only given a 5 meter search area of 8 gram. So it doesn't count in any of the reserve. This is extra. It doesn't matter if it's inside the inside the domains or outside. So all of our discovery so far to date has been primarily, and my initial interpretation was it was just the outer upper contact that was mineralized. That was not exactly entirely true. It is true, it is enriched at the contact, but it goes beyond it. So these things emanate from and extrude out past. So clearly, this is a late stage, basically imprinted or superimposed event, gold dominant event, and it does have changes of characteristic where you see high grade silver coming in with it, high grade copper. And it reminds me of the one hole we hit, and it had some legendary numbers in it. It had over an ounce gold, over a kilo silver, I think 3% copper, I think it had 6% lead, a weird one, and zinc. And zinc was ubiquitous. So those polymetallic are part of supercells. So you have multiple phases of these things going off. So there's a lot more to this thing than meets the eye.
Wow. What do you think? How many meters do you need to drill more in order to get a better feeling for the supercells, for your 3 already founded supercells? And maybe there are some more, I don't know.
Well, what we're doing, and that's a very good point, because we've got A, B, C, we just haven't found D, E, and F. And just keeping things in even plane, if you look at tabs like this may be in part another type of supercell. It's a red portion we call 300 North. That has a higher grade component than 300, and there's a bit of a gap. It's dislocated. But if you turn the model and look at the backside, we had this one that was really strange. We call this R66. This, in fact, may also be another supercell that we have off the initial discovery, the upper portion of CS600. So we will be analyzing the data internally to see how much of these things we can flesh out that makes sense in changing the approach of how we look at the firing order of taking this deposit. Because if you do have a significant high-grade component, then it just begs to be taken first while you develop your infrastructure for the big show to come later. And typically when you have something this large, you never really start with a block cave. You start with, say, a pit extraction of upper sequencing, and then you go to take your easy high-grade hits, and you come off and you pick off your high-grade as you drop down. And as you drill off your drill stations before, you put your draw points, multiple draw points along the back of this thing. So you have to imagine this whole thing coming down at once. So draw points here, 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 all the way along. And you can see really well the thickening of the lower CS600 where the best grades are. Remember that one staggering hole we had? It was drilled in 2021. It was 113W2. That thing had 732 meters of 1.6. So that goes right. This is one of the holes that went right through this thing, kind of obliquely, that had that huge composite that basically spurred on all the drilling and exploration for 2022, where we finished that hole. We extended it and got more of the material at the bottom that was richer, and also set us up for the 2023 drill program. And this year at Christmas time, we recognized the supercell component as we actually put press releases out on it. And it's nice to be correct, but the funny thing is, we were pleasantly surprised to see not just one supercell, but 3. The middle one is the highest grade one so far. It's running the 13 and 11. And the step outs will tell to see what the consistency is. So more drilling, will wait and make the decision, take the shot when the shot's required. So if we need to do more drilling, we will. But I'm thinking that if we can just infer a large enough target, then we're good to go with a statement going forward that we do clearly indeed have outlined a big, large underground high-grade target. It's not small. It's not going to be small.
Great. Okay. And you just mentioned your actual drill program. In May, you published, I guess, 10,000 meters. Is it already completely finished, or are you still drilling?
No, just wrapping up the drilling now. I think it's going to be important to see the results before you do waste money and do make errors. It's like on every program when you start, it's like looking at the conceptualized beginning of the project where we came in with exactly 10,000 meters, just under. And we tried shooting 21 drill holes, but we only got 14 completed because we never got through the system. You can imagine the initial, the very first start at the other end of the model. compared to what we found at the end. So we definitely want to see what we've got for values if we're stitching it off in one of the directions before we actually make a decision. And I think I can say mission accomplished on phase one. So we've still got money. We haven't exhausted that. We've still got the results coming. We don't know how well we did with the final end of the program, but buckle up and wait for the results on the rest of the Supercell saga of this chapter of the story, and see if that does resonate with anybody who is looking at an opportunity to buy us at a 5-year low, essentially. And
Great.
I think it's really important that we look at how the term of interest rates are now dropping, inflation is now coming under control. So we're thinking we've turned that corner. I think this fall will be a much more robust fall than the previous years.
Yeah, hopefully. We are at record levels in gold, but the mining industry is still below the bar. So especially the juniors, especially you guys, and you deserve a better situation, a better financial situation, and that the investors coming back.
Absolutely. And it's with programs like yourself, Mark, getting the word out to people of what this is. Because people in the past said, well, you shouldn't be drilling anymore. You've got enough ounces. I beg to differ, because this is such a big game changer. It makes an enormous impact on any balance sheet of how you start, with a much lower capex, taking the first few years out, mining out as much as you can, over 1 million ounces clearly, and going for that. And when you start talking about targets and you're looking at world-class underground targets, that's 3 million ounces. If you approach 3 million, you're in an upper tier company. Look at the Windfall. That was 4.1 million ounces, right? And that's a spectacular 11-gram deposit. So if you look at 10 gram being our goal, I wonder how close you can come to that target. I mean, clearly with a 6-gram cutoff with Brucejack at an 8-gram, we got a lot of work cut out for us to try and get 8 million ounces, but we're just beginning. This is year one on this thing. Let's see what it does.
Yeah,
but
perfect.
Let's go forward. Let's talk about this CS600 later this year, and see what we can get the economics up and running on that, and see what introducing a starter point of a high grade operation to be the catalyst to the getting this thing over the hill and into the eyes or the hands of real senior mining companies that can make work out of this for 50 years.
100%. So what are your goals for the next 12 months for Tudor Gold?
Well, that's all based on what we see, of course, but clearly we'd like to get some economics on this thing for what we've got so far. And that'll dictate what the plan moving forward would be. If more infill drilling is required or more expansion is required, we'll see that in this last 4 holes, because these things are very strategically placed. Yeah. One of the comments came out, well, do these things come to surface? Good question, because we're so far into drilling off the bottom sequencing of this inferred 6 million ounces that we clip this on the way down to it. Now the answer is, let's see where it does come. Does it come to surface, these supercells? How far do they extend? And how far do they extend into the zone? And that's basically mining our data with that part, because we've got the data in front of us. 186, 188 drill holes, something like that, just in Goldstorm. And no misses yet. There's no miss. There's only one that went through some sort of comagmatic dike, and another one we glanced off trying to get the deep portion of this, but we glanced up and we never got control of a hole to wedge it down into the system. So I call that a miss. But everything else is in the resource. It's an impressive beast. It really is. It's been a technical marvel to work on, and I'm super proud of our whole team up at Treaty Creek and our BC Place Core Shack for doing a phenomenal job this year and previous years to get us to where we are now.
Perfect. And you also mentioned you still have some money in the bank. How much do you have?
Oh, it'll be enough. Continued expansion on probably the high grade is my guess, because if we've actually found, for a holes, keep in mind how difficult it is taking something with drill core, the diameter, well, I'll just show it to you. Something like this, right? Taking this diameter and hitting visible gold, right? There's some visible gold right there, and your viewers can see that, and that red circle is right.
Yeah.
Is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. with this diameter from 500 meters away, 800 meters away, and get that grain of rice grain size in core on the inside of this thing, encapsulate it. So harder to do than thought. So we're not that good. We're not that lucky. It just tells me there's a lot of gold down there. When you're successful in targeting something like this, and you may find it serendipitously, like we did with Bruce Jack at Valley of the Kings, we weren't targeting a high grade system at all. We actually ignored it the first year, 2009. We named it in 2010. So similarly, history is repeating itself. Here it is again. Here we are on a beautiful porphyry system, beautiful copper zone, and seeing something so obvious now coming at us as the form of a supercell that is a late stage event, superimposing itself onto the porphyry, emanating from within the porphyry, we believe. So chasing it back out and up to the surface is probably going to be on the books for next year. So planning for that. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
In my opinion, you're checking so many boxes. So you're in a great jurisdiction, you're a great environment, you have a great project, you have beautiful drill results, all that stuff. So we have all-time highs in gold, but the environment, especially for you as a junior, is very difficult still. But hopefully we will see this catch up soon. And then with the next results, with the next press releases, it's getting better and better again.
Agreed. And I'll just reiterate this. We've never had a issue finding money. It's just the fact that we don't want to dilute at these levels. We're very careful of that, very cognizant. So it's as much as a business decision of what we do at these points to wait for markets to catch up. And you've nailed it right on the head here, because it's the markets have yet to catch up with the leveraging ability of everything in ground. So let's just wait to be patient with it. Let's go look at the data we have internally, see we come up with really meaningful targets that put this on a different level, on a brand new tier 1 level, with not just as a starter pit, underground sub-level block cave, but also a high-grade underground target. Something for everybody.
I'm looking forward for the next press releases, and as we talk to each other, we will catch up in 4 weeks or
yeah, sure. We should have all results back by then, I would think. So typically it's a 20-day period. So we just finished. We're just finishing up now on the drilling program. So let's call it mid late September.
Nice.
After our Beaver Creek event at Summit, at the Precious Metal Summit, and then also the Gold Show in Denver. We'll be there. So come see us there. We may have some news at that point. We'll see.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Ken, for your time.
Mark, I appreciate it as always. Thank you so much for listening to our story unfold.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the next press releases. Fingers crossed, and all the best. And to our audience, that was Ken Conking, the CEO and president of Tudor Gold. You heard it. The company is doing great. Please check out the companies. If you have questions, come back to us. We will answer everything. So check out the company, and goodbye.